Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your man, your host, your cousin, your uncle, AD Walker, and I appreciate you guys rocking with us today. We are going to have a different kind of conversation today. We spoke about the issues, the problems, the situations, some of the solutions, and we've been on a emotional roller coaster for quite some time. And I feel like the ride is getting even rougher. Good morning, Lisa. Great morning to you. Blessings to you. Thank you for sharing. Um, so this is this is a conversation that I really want everyone to dig into, to tag others, because there's so much at stake on top of the justice or injustice that we're dealing with. What's up, Deborah? Good morning to you. Um, we have to become vigilant in not only seeking justice but maintaining our mental health. Um, that's very important for us, for our community, for our families, um, because though we want change to happen, we have to be in the right state of mind in order to deal with things. So I have a mental health specialist coming through. So this is just not going to be us with our opinions and our personal thoughts. We have a trained specialist that's going to kind of talk about what's going on and kind of how to navigate and deal with what's going on in the best way possible. What's up, Kalinda? Great morning to you. All right, so I need you to share. I need you to tag. I need you to let everybody know that the Brother Legacy are digging into the mental health space, because we talk about that all the time, and especially us and mental health. We pray and get over it. pray and get through it. just just find your way through. But we need help navigating. We need help, and those that understand who we are, and navigate us properly through. All right, so hang tight. Hold on. We'll be right back. I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning, good morning,
Good
good morning, good morning.
Welcome to another edition of
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody?
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Whether you're trying to up your production or just go live, StreamYard is the place to be. Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Flocknote. Start your free text community now at bit.ly free text now. That's bit.ly free text now. Boom. Good morning. Good morning. We have in the building Mr. Matt Genius. So today, like I said, we're going to discuss the mental health space and all of the ramifications, as well as ways to deal with what's going on around us and in our lives, and just the visuals. And I spoke about this some time ago. It seems like, I get the news organizations a lot of times. They thrive on issues. They thrive on hype, and they constantly see the visuals of us getting shot, and it's like over and over. Then seeing George Floyd and the cop on his neck over and over and over again, it becomes a stressor, and it's one that we struggle to deal with mentally, and it sits on us, and then I think it sits too long. It can cause a strain in your household as well. There you go. It's just about to unmute you. So with everything going on, what is one of the? My first question is, what is one of the best ways to productively deal with seeing so many visuals outside of cutting it off. Because unfortunately, even on Facebook and Instagram, you scroll, then there's another incident, and we know there's another incident that just happened. I
Right.
think you. Okay, go ahead. I can hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, let me start by saying good morning to you and good morning to all of the viewers, listeners,
Yes, indeed.
states, wherever you are. Hope you're having a great morning. Thank you for having me, man. This is such an important topic, mental
Definitely.
health, and that's been going on for a very long time. One of the first things I'd like to start off saying is that you have to understand your capacity when it comes to your mental health.
Right.
Before we can talk about what to do about it, let's talk
Right.
about capacity that each one of us have by understanding what mental health is in the first place.
Right.
And so let's start with just a easy breakdown that I like to share with people before we talk
Hey.
about the topic and
Right.
where we're coming from. So mental health, three things collectively together.
Right.
It's our thinking, our thoughts, what's going on in our mind. It's the that we feel, things that are hearts, and it's our actual behaviors, how we engage with other people. It's those three things combined, you know. It's our thinking,
Mm-hmm.
it's our feelings, and it's our
Feelings
behaviors.
and our
And for
behaviors.
the
Okay.
most part, what we would normally focus on is the behaviors because that's the seen version of what's happening, of
Right.
what's happening in the body. And so it's one of those things that
You
if
got it.
you're not all three,
Right.
then what will happen will ignore parts that are just as important for your mental health and your growth. And so
Interesting.
therefore I think of it as collective. The
Right.
thinking, feelings, and the behaviors, right? Thinking,
Okay.
feelings, and behaviors. So when I say check in with yourself to make sure that you understand what's going on, you got to ask yourself, what's been in my head? What's been in my mind first, and then how has the things that have been on my mind impact my emotions,
Right.
and then how have all of those two impact the way I engage. And so with the racial tension and the trials that have been going on and everything, I think one of the first things we have to understand is where our capacity is, meaning how much can we take on, you know?
Right.
And I
Right.
understood that for time ago. And so I make sure that I'm policing what I take in mentally, you know.
Okay.
So
Okay.
content, news, the news have been heavy, you
Right.
know. I don't watch, and I do it purposely,
Right.
purposely. So I won't have these memories and thoughts running in my mind
Right.
like my eventually to be or engage, you know.
Right.
And so that's media, social media. You got to understand it thoroughly. Like there are different things you can do to help police what media you get on social media.
Right.
So when I see content that's overwhelming, what I do is I put a mute on it or I'll put a stop on it. I'll tell Instagram, I'll tell Facebook that I don't want to see this content anymore. And so
Right.
you can communicate back to the algorithm that you are responsible for to say that this content isn't what you want to see, and they will
Right.
show you less. Being
Nice.
aware helps manage your thoughts and your emotions what will eventually help you to engage differently. The reason
Right.
why this is important is because with all of the stuff that we take on, man, it really does puts us in a space of vulnerability
Right.
where impacted you know when
Right.
your decision impacted, that means you are now under the thumb of somebody else's control. When
Right.
you can't decide in a rational and a healthy mind, then that means that there's an outside or external force that's taking over your decision making based on you being in a vulnerable space. You
Wow.
Understanding, like I said, the mental, the
Yeah.
emotions, and the behavior,
Hey, Yvonne.
you
Good
get
morning.
those things so that you can be in the driver's seat when it comes to your decision making.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Just let you know, you breaking in and out. I mean, we can hear you. We get good chunks of sound. Because I heard you say the thinking, feelings, and behavior a couple times. First time I missed it, I was like, okay. So I just put it up there so everyone can see. Um,
Gotcha.
so okay, so we got the thinking, we got the feelings. What we see, how it makes us feel, and then the reactive is the behavior.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
when when you get overloaded with it, right? Because
Right.
like in my household, like I said, though we avoided the trial because it's just, like certain aspects, because I know in a courtroom everything has to be presented, everything has to be explained, everything has, it's not admissible unless it's said during court. It's like, why does this, isn't it a common sense thing? It may be common, but it has to be said for the jury. So it becomes infuriating because it's like, why then, because the defense has to come up with a defense. And
Right.
you begin to, what's up, Pastor? Great morning to you, sir.
Morning, morning, morning.
Let's slide this right here. So once you get sucked into this space, right? And though, like I said, we didn't watch the trial, unfortunately, the highlights are constantly coming up.
I
And
did.
yeah, right, right. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it this time. I could, the emotional roller coaster. And then, of course, we watched the end, so we might as well watch the trial anyway. But it's like watching the end of the movie. Oh my gosh, let's see what happens. Um, but the emotional roller coaster is why we tried to avoid it, but it still didn't matter because we still went through the roller coaster with the highlights and things. So once you check into all of that, once you get an overload, um, what's your recommendation, or how do you check out of it? How do you get your mental stability back so you're not on high alert?
Right. I mean, you mentioned something that's very telling. How's the sound right now, by the way? Is the sound coming in fine?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned something that's very telling. You mentioned the roller coaster, and I love that analogy because, I have kids, and my kids love to park and get on the roller coasters. Not so much for me anymore, and
Right.
reason why is because the feelings of going really high at a speed and then dipping really low, you feel your gut being like, pulled from the G force of the speed, right?
Right. Right.
And real thing, if you go a little bit deeper in that, it's because of the parabola. That's the hill, the thing
Okay.
that goes up and goes
Right.
shape of
Right.
parabola. But what we have to understand is that the physical thing that happens to our body also happens with our emotions when we go to extreme highs and extreme lows.
Right.
Your body is being manipulated at a very high speed, so therefore you feel the discomfort because your body is still playing catch up with what's happening in real time. So you're moving faster than your body is comfortable with. That's not a healthy thing. You
Wow.
can go on a roller coaster once, twice maybe, but if you continue in that cycle, it's going to be really detrimental to your health. But it's
Right.
the same emotions. So if emotions keep going high, low, high, low, high, low, you're very unstable,
Mm.
not stable
Yep.
at all. Your mental, your physical, your emotional capacity diminishes. So that
Right.
means you're not best. So one of the first things you can do to get back to that space is to make sure that you're grounded.
Okay.
Challenge reality versus what is being perceived in front of you. You know,
Mm.
these stories are very unfortunate and, of course, true to our reality, but we
Right.
have to get some normalcy and challenge what is versus what is perceived.
Right.
Yes, are being murdered. Black people are being murdered. Are a lot of violence against us. Is that the common space everywhere? Of course, it's not. Does it impact us? Of course, it does. But getting back to normalcy is getting back to your understanding of your own safety.
Right.
You have to ask certain questions to get back reoriented. Where am I? You know, am I safe right now? How do I
Right.
feel now? Who in my life right now that I'm grateful for? What in my life am I grateful for? Getting back to those things puts you back in a stable space to understand that I'm okay right now.
Right.
But I'm not okay with this message, but at least I'm okay right now, getting back to a stable state. Now, the next thing you do once you understand the physical safety, getting back to emotional and mental safety. And you can do a whole bunch of things for that. Breathing is one, right? Meditation is another. Exercising, going outside, getting some different scenery, music, dancing, yoga, you know.
Right.
And if it goes to the extreme to where these things have been persistent for 2 weeks or more, you might even want to seek professional help, and that's okay as well because, like I said, once that capacity diminishes, now you're playing on borrowed time,
Mm.
meaning the decision that you're making in the present, you're not necessarily effectively thinking about the consequences of your actions, your words, your tone, that will cost you in the future based on you behaving the way, speaking in the way that you're speaking right now, based on a diminished capacity, So once that goes out the window, my decision making is compromised, my speech is compromised, my behavior is compromised, all of those things are compromised. So getting back to a space where you can think rationally, your
Right.
emotions are stable, and you do that by, adding one of those things or removing certain things from your day to day.
Nice. Nice. Did you want to add something, Pastor? Did you have something?
No, I agree with everything he said. I think that far too often we have overlooked the importance of mental health in our community. You talked about all the exercises, the regimen that you go through. Asking yourself these questions, but
Right.
another question is, why am I feeling this angry?
Right.
Why is this
Yes,
hitting
that's
me this way? What is it that's in me that's causing me to react emotionally to this so strongly?
Right.
There
right.
has to be a connection. And then once you begin to connect the why
To
to
the
the
way.
what, it's a conversation you're having with yourself. And the other thing that I, that whole added, peeling the onion, that's the exercise that you're going through when you begin to ask the whys. You begin to peel the onion. Oh, you know what? This is why I'm so angry. And now you understand why you're so angry. Now it's okay. What do I do with this anger?
Yes.
What are the next steps here? And to your point, yeah, I'm in a safe place, so I don't have to. This is not a time for me to pull out my gun. This is not a
Right.
time for me to pull out my knife, because I realized, okay, that's what happened over there. I go through this exercise. I tell people all the time, you have to remember to know how to separate yourself from the incident, what happened, what took place. A lot of times we can't see clearly because we put ourselves in that space. We think we think we're being empathetic, but the truth is we've lost our sense of reality.
Right.
And now I'm
Right.
putting myself in there. I've just become George Floyd. Now everybody I see is a cop,
Right.
Right.
or
Yeah.
Chauvin, and so that's the reason why we have to go through those exercises. But the other part of it is the entire list that you said, and I was like, okay, prayer is on that list, because when a lot
Yeah.
of times we talk about meditation and all of these things,
Right.
Right.
that's what prayer is. And you got,
Right.
and for us, typically, at least in my circles, we are people of faith. We are people who know that God is real. We also understand that He is sovereign. So a lot of times we ask this question, Lord, why is this happening? Lord, why is this happening? And remember who's really in control, right?
Right.
When you think about God being in control, that doesn't exclude problems.
Right.
That doesn't
Right.
include disappointment or frustration and all these other things that happen, So don't lose sight of the fact of who's still in control. And then also remember, if you know God is in control, now you've been empowered to be in control of what you do and how you respond to things. You
Right.
can't control what happened, but you can control how you respond or how you react to it.
That's good.
Those are the things that we have to remember, that we have to be conscious of, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah. Wow. Let me
Right.
jump on that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just because, he touched on a lot of great things, Pastor. I just want to touch on the anger for a second. If I had the opportunity to go around America and put a microphone to Black people's faces and ask them one simple question, why are you angry? Man, that conversation would be so telling,
Right.
Yeah.
because we are angry people and there's nothing wrong with being angry. I think we need to normalize that conversation. Yes, we are angry, but
Yes.
anger is justified. Let's say it's justified in a lot of truth that's been happening to us,
Right.
for a very long time. And so asking that question and having the opportunity, because I think a lot of us never really get the chance to say why we're angry, and our anger never really gets validated because, before we got on, Anthony and I were talking about right before you're getting over something, something
Right.
else happened,
Right.
And so
Yes.
as you are now quelling the emotions of something, that occurred maybe a year or so ago, boom, you're in another one, and then you're in another one, and then you're in another one. Now it's layered, and now you can't even remember what emotion is connected to what. So it's
Right.
very helpful to understand what emotion, if it's anger, it's fine. What emotion is connected to what, because sometimes what happens when we don't have the opportunity to express it, the emotions become convoluted, and now we're projecting it in situations and towards people that have nothing to do with what we were initially upset about, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So even having the opportunity to express our anger is a great thing. So I just want to highlight that really quick.
That's
Man,
good.
y'all,
That's good.
y'all over here, y'all dropping gems, nuggets, and life changing facts and truths today. I had to throw facts and truths in there because, like, I was listening to you guys before I came on, and I was like, mental health. This the way this conversation is going. I was like, this is a great conversation. I was like, but how do I marry it with Christianity? Then Pastor comes in and he starts the conversation, makes it easy. First thing I want to add: emotions are normal, and we have to understand that emotions are normal. They're indicators. When you have an emotion, it doesn't mean that you're wrong or something's wrong. It just means that something happened that caused you to feel a certain way. Now, we have to learn how to deal with these feelings. It's not wrong to be angry. Why are you angry? What's
Right.
causing the anger? Oh, you're happy. Why are you happy? What's causing the happiness? Because just like everything else, just like pain is to the body, emotions is to our mental. So
Right.
when we have those things, this the body's way of saying, hey, something's not right or something's right over here. You need to make some adjustments. The
Right.
second thing is, or perhaps the most important, especially for Christians, we have to remember that God made a spirit, soul, and body. 9 times out of 10, we're strong in one area, weak in other areas. We have no issues with the spirit part. We go to church, we pray and we meditate, we do all those things. But what about your physical self? Are
Right.
you eating right? You know, are you sleeping? Are you exercising? Then what about the mental? Are you addressing the emotions? Are you engaging in meditation? God made us 3 parts. And when you focus on one part and leave the other 2, that's called malnourished. That's called deficiency. So some of us are running around malnourished and deficient in areas because all we do is focus on one thing. Yeah, I know we've had conversations where some pastors may not even believe in counseling and therapy. I mean, even though it's kind of right there in the Bible, there's safety in the multitude of counselors, and
Right.
you know that it's there. But some people don't believe in it. Some people believe that hey, you get everything from, and you do get everything from God. Let me not gloss over that. You do get everything from God, but just because God has the ability to give you what you need and doesn't mean he doesn't put it out there for you to go get it. Yeah, God can feed the 5,000 too, right? But
Right.
did that stop people from going and fishing? Because everybody
Right.
didn't get a meal. You know, you still got to do your part.
Right.
So yeah, I'm loving where this conversation is going because there is a lot of black trauma. There's a lot of trauma in the black community. There
Right.
is over and over valley, 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 valley before we hit a hill.
Right.
We didn't need George. We talked about this. Me and AD talked about this last night. I didn't watch the trial because I'm like, what's going to change?
Right.
And I was like, it's either one or two things. Either you watch the 8 minutes and 46 seconds of video and you don't need a trial, or they're going to come up with an excuse as to why he was justified. So I was like, I don't need to watch the trial. I've been here before. So my emotions were through the roof. But I'm a mute my mic right now, and I'm gonna let y'all continue this conversation.
Oh no, you good. Oh, that I I think sometimes that blockage of what we're dealing with mentally as African Americans sometimes keep us from growing spiritually because we have that, we're focused, we're praying, we're studying, but it's kind of like that one piece that we just can't figure out that's happening inside of us that sometimes you need the wise counsel in order to pull it out. Like, this is what you're dealing with. You need to deal with this hurt, or you need to deal with this pain, or you need to deal with this anger. You need to do something with it because it's hindering you.
Mhm.
And I think that's the piece where the professional comes in, to kind of, it's kind of like a Rubik's cube. Like, okay, we need to fix that straight, and then you can become all that God has called you to be. Because it's hard to deal when you're not seeing it, when you don't know
Right.
exactly what it is. Let me read some of these comments real quick. Taiwan said, we're angry people, or we're forced to deal with situations regularly that make us angry. I guess that was a question he's asking. We're
Yeah,
angry
good
people,
question.
or we're forced to deal with situations regularly that make us angry.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we're angry people. I would say the latter. Like we've been in a lot of situations generations ago, man. And I love the fact that we are including the gospel and Christianity in this, because it's very telling when you hear a verse that says the iniquities of the fathers will visit the second and the third generations. That's transgenerational issues, meaning what happened 2 generations ago can still be very present
So
in
like,
this very moment in this generation. So we see a lot of trauma. At least when I see my clients, I do something called a genogram, where we study their family history and find out what were the things that happened in your parents' lives that caused them to be the type of parents that they were to you, that caused you to be the type of individual that you are emoting right now. And so it's transgenerational. So a lot of the things that we're dealing with in our present state didn't start with us.
right,
Weren't
Right.
even issues that we decided to be a part of, and yet we're still dealing with it. And so the anger is very present. The
right,
anger is about not having your needs met, you know and you can go collectively for people of color and see that our needs are not being met.
right,
Collectively you can see our needs are not being met, and therefore our anger is justified in just the basis of our needs not being met. And of course it goes further than that. Not only are our needs not being met, we're being traumatized. We're
mm,
being targeted.
right,
There are specific campaigns that are anti people of color.
right,
And so there's a variety of reasons why we show up angry, but it's understanding the anger and being able to communicate it effectively that allows us to move on and not get stuck on the emotion, rather than the action we can take to change the situation.
right.
So
Absolutely. You said something. You talked about the iniquities of our fathers. I want to make sure I love that, because one of the things that I hear all too often from people from our community is this term generational curse,
Mm,
and iniquity being passed down to the next generation is
right,
does not equate to generational curse.
right,
That's the thing that people have to understand. You're not under a curse. If you believe that you're under a curse, that means you don't believe that Jesus came and died for you,
right,
right,
because the curse was broken. In
right,
Romans chapter 5, it's clear that the curse was broken,
right,
but it does not stop generational or iniquity being passed, the behavior to be
right.
passed from generation to generation. And so I love that you mentioned that, brother. And I just wanted to put some clarity out there around that for anybody who believes that generational curses exist,
right,
right?
right.
You and also I think somebody put in there, Michael Gibson, 400 plus years of broken promises. I would say that a promise is only as good as the integrity of the person who issued the promise,
Right,
Wow.
right?
right, right,
So when you lack character and you lack integrity, I can't receive what you say as a promise or as a covenant, because you don't have any integrity.
right,
So I can't accept a broken promise if it was issued by a broken person
right, right.
or a
That's good.
broken system.
Right,
Right.
right, right. That's deep. Hold on, let me get some of these comments. Cole said one of the reasons I connected with Public Enemy was the beginning of the song "Prophets of Rage." Song goes, "You're quite hostile. I got right right to be hostile, man. My people are being persecuted."
Right.
He also said, "I witnessed my father suppressing a lot of societal anger, and he indirectly conditioned me to do the same."
Yeah.
Steve. He said, to your point, Dwayne, many religious leaders shortchange God's reach and how our needs get met by him. Mike said, good morning. And he said, I wouldn't say we're angry either. He said, I worded it wrong. Oh, let's see. Mike says, so we aren't angry. We're just tired. Nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal. Right. He said, and Cole backed up. I would say tired, wounded, wore out, and many of us are broken. Right. Wow.
Look,
Wow.
like I said, I think one of the biggest reasons is my see my people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Right.
That goes so many levels beyond what we see on the surface, because most of us read that and we're like, oh, I don't know what God's doing. Oh, I don't know what God's plan is. No, you're not listening to and you're not hearing from God. He's giving it to us in many different ways. Like, there's a saying, who controls the soul man controls the whole man. Well, what does the soul man represent? The soul man represents our emotions, our thought patterns, the way we feel, how we respond, all this mental stuff. These mental, the mental professions that are out here, they get labeled bad because what's the okay, I'm gonna paraphrase this. It's not a science. It's not a hard science that they can put their finger on and take this theory and prove this, and it's no longer a theory. It's a fact, or it's a truth now. Because people don't know, they shun it. But the problem is, it's 33.3% of who we are, and the reality of it is whatever controls us, our spirit or our soul or the body, that's what leads us. Now, the Apostle Paul, he makes it clear. He said, yeah, look, the spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. You know why the flesh is weak? Because the flesh wants what it wants. It doesn't have a choice. The spirit, almost the same thing. Whoever you submit your spirit to, you don't have a choice. That's your God now. But the soul, this mental part, most of us we don't do mental health. We don't do mental exercises. We don't challenge our mind to grow and expand. When we get trauma from childhood, we cover it up because we don't talk about this around here. You know that's the dangerous part. We're leaving a huge go the entire life of your vehicle without getting an engine checkup. I'll wait. Just go ahead and take that $200,000 Bugatti that you purchased, or that $80,000 Porsche that you purchased, and I want you to just drive it. Don't worry about oil. Don't worry about no head gaskets. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just drive it, and drive it hard all the time. Don't go in and put no oil changes. I don't. That's what we do on a daily. That's the way most of us spend our lives. We neglect the things that drives us in this life.
Right. So we're hold on, let me get this comment and then I add something. Let's see. He said overexposure leads to trauma. Many of our dysfunctional people, if you dysfunction long enough, you'll eventually malfunction. Oh,
Wow.
that's good. That was good. Um, so so what do we do with all of what we see? We get it in. Um, what do we do with this energy? Like that's probably about the best way. How do we begin to push it in the right direction, or to how do we? Is there a way to stop being angry? Because a lot of times, I guess when you see it, right, and Pastor expressed this frustration last week. When you see it, you feel like, am I doing enough? Am I active enough? You start questioning. It's still happening. I must not be doing enough. It's still going on. There's something I'm missing out on. And I'm sure people, even in the streets, people have done. They feel like, what more, can I do? How do you get at least sense of relief having to constantly feel like you're not doing enough? Because even let's take it to child rearing. You're raising your child. You feel like, man, I'm putting out what I know, and they're not totally going in the direction that I thought they would go. you know how do, at least from a mental standpoint, how do you find at least some level of relief in in that space, if that makes sense. And of course,
Yeah,
you
it
guys can comment as well.
makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Pastor.
No, please. By all means, man. I was trying to jump on there because I get excited when questions like that happen, but I'll come right behind you, brother.
I appreciate that. The collective emotions that we share isn't for no reason at all. We
Right.
are a collective people, people of color. We are people that need that fellowship, that connection. That's the great thing about our spiritual lives as well. We say that we are the body, right? And the body doesn't ignore parts of it. You can't like take a shower and don't wash that one leg. That doesn't make any sense. And so I think what I'm trying to get to is getting back to the collective mentality, to where we're not just sharing on the trauma, but we're sharing in the solution creation as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like we're by ourselves because we lost that collective mentality,
Right.
to where we're only bonding when it comes to trauma instead of bonding in other areas as well that are healthy for us. And so what I would say is that we need to get back to that collective mentality and not wait for negativity to occur for us to feel like we are fellowshipping, or we can gather. And so there are other things and other times for us to get together to make sure that we're checking in and have this accountability that is consistent. So let's say, for example, a forum like this is a part of the healing process because we have an opportunity to be heard, to listen to what frustrates me about this circumstance, listen to what frustrates another brother about the circumstance. So being there for each other in that collective way is one of the ways that we can start mitigating our frustrations, our anger, and stuff like that. Remember that validation is a part of what we need. All of us need love, affection, and acceptance. So in collective, we are able to do so more often, not just when it's the hurt, but we can come together and celebratory occasion, to where we're uplifting each other, and that's something that can really, really last, outside of just experiencing trauma with each other.
Right. Nice. Pastor?
I obviously wholeheartedly agree with everything my brother is saying. I also think that, to your point, remember, we are tribal by nature. So that fellowship is critical to our health, to our wholeness, and our survival. So we have to keep that in mind. I'm always nervous when my family is too isolated from community. One of the greatest struggles that I've had during this sheltering in place is the inability for our ministry family to come together. We have lost people because we have not been able to come together. There are people that have gone in other directions because we have not been able to come together in fellowship. So it is painful. It's destructive when we're not able to do that. So remember that we're tribal by nature, to my brother's point. Also, we have to, I think I just said this yesterday, you have to go in with a long-term strategy in mind. I call it going in with an outcome-based perspective. I want to go in having an expectation of what I'm hoping this will become or what we should get out of it. And a lot of times you're not going to see that immediately. Too many of us go into something and we are short-sighted. We can't see afar off, as the scripture says, right? And so when you come in and you're short-sighted, you want to do something that heals you. That it doesn't heal you, but it works or it eases the symptoms, but it doesn't deal with the underlying problem. When it comes to parenting, somebody said, "What kind of conversations do we have with our children?" I think when it comes to parenting, you all have heard me say this. This fellowship, this accountability, and how we raise our children. You don't know what kind of parent you are or have been until your children are old enough to tell you without fear of the consequence. Right? When they're up and paying their own bills, that's when you're going to find out what kind of parent you are. So be very careful how you deal and how you interact with your children at a very young age, because at some point when they're 23, 24, 25, and they're no longer afraid of the consequences, they're going to let you know exactly who you have been in their lives. And so we not only do we have to get ourselves in the right place, but we have to make sure that what we're living, what we're walking is a good example for our children. And we have to do that with a long-term strategy in mind.
Right.
Yeah, and just to follow suit, I'm glad you brought up the body and the collective aspect of things, because that's the same inspiration that God gave the Apostle Paul, right? He said that we are many members, but we're one body. And then he goes on to say that God puts us in the body where he sees fit. And one of the most important parts of that whole dynamic is he said, in every member provides, every joint provides or supplies what's needed. The thing is, during these moments, brothers like Matt's office need to be like completely booked, and he's giving out referrals to somebody else. Pastor's office, competent pastors who also have a understanding of how the mental aspect of man works. Their offices need to be busy. Why? Because this is what's needed from the body at this given time. It's like, yeah, there's moments we need somebody to go out fishing. There's other moments we need people to knock on doors. We need people to lay hands and speak a word. But this is time for you to get all of these things inside of you that you have no idea what's going on. You just know you feel messed up. You know, if you see another Breonna Taylor, you might be out there with a pistol. You might shoot back at a cop because some quiet, mild-mannered people are going through these emotions and not dealing with them. And now they're becoming bombarded and they don't know what they're going to do. I was told by my therapist this when it comes to emotions. It's like, look, it's natural. And embrace them. Have a conversation with yourself, is what he said, about why you're having this emotion. And then there's some things that I realized that after these cameras stop rolling, I'm talking to some of these brothers for a couple, well, almost an hour sometimes after we're on here for an hour. Why? Because I got an emotion that I don't really know what's going on. So let me explore this emotion. Let me have a conversation. Let me acknowledge it. Too many of us are trying to, nah, I ain't angry. I'm good. And the first thing somebody who don't look like you say is like, boom, explosion. And that's a mishap. I think it was, if we keep dysfunction for long enough, we're going to end up malfunctioning. That statement said it all. And that's what the emotions are for. Hey, you're angry. Hey, you're about to malfunction. You need to get some stuff on track. Address it. Same thing. And this is not in the same vein, but brothers, if you got a problem with lust, don't sit there and try to fight these thoughts and these emotions you're having. You know what? Okay, yeah, she kind of fine. Oh, yeah, she kind of thick. I kind of like that. Oh, well, go on your day. Because what happens is you're going to find yourself struggling with a thought that's not going anywhere, but your mind can go either way. That thought is going to be what it is. But your mind is sitting there trying to, how do I do this? What do I do? The truth of the matter is, acknowledge that it's there. Okay, there's a person that there's an attraction. It's an unhealthy attraction. I'm in a covenant relationship over here, so I need to leave this attraction alone. But yeah, she is fine. Yeah, she is a beautiful woman. Now you don't have to worry about fighting with something that you've acknowledged. Sometimes emotions just need acknowledgement.
Right. Yeah. Just a quick reset. You're rocking with the Brothers of Legacy. We are here with guest therapist Matt Genius in the building, dropping nuggets, and I appreciate him being here, giving us some time and sharing with all that's going on, the racial tension, just a way to find a release and find a way. And like Dr. Rollins said, and Pastor first said, just being solution orientated and not get stuck in such an angry space, because lately it seems like it's so easy to get stuck there, and how to come down off the roller coaster and to get some clarity. And if you missed some of this, definitely check out the replay, because he broke some great nuggets down that you don't want to miss. I want to kind of go to Sam's comment. She said, "I don't know if this has already been addressed, but what conversation should we be having with our children to bring clarity to what they are seeing and not total fear?"
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I was going to touch on that anyway. That's such an important point. I'm a father, of course. My wife and I have 4 beautiful daughters, 3 of which are triplets. So we got a busy household over here.
Yes.
And age appropriateness. Dwayne, it's okay. We're making.
No,
Look at that
I got
face.
I saw that
6
expression, like,
girls. I got 6 girls.
relax.
I just heard triplets. That's 3 at the same time.
Yeah. We have
God
we
bless you,
have
sir.
four girls. I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna take some notes from you later. But age appropriateness is where the conversation must start, and the conversation must be happening as soon as they have comprehension. We have to start talking about what's going on with us first, and then making
Right.
sure that the content that we may be okay with ingesting is not the same content that they are ingesting. I don't need my kids watching, the news and seeing these stories, because they don't have the capacity, as a lot of adults still don't have the full capacity to understand and regulate their emotions in real time. So we have to be very aware that they don't have that same capacity. So age appropriateness, like I said, my kids are young. 9 is the oldest sister and 7 are the triplets. So we educate them based on what they could understand. And it's not just the racial tension that they feel everything.
Right.
Whatever we're experiencing emotionally,
Right.
mentally, they are there, man. They are the sponges of this world. They will take in anything. One of the saddest things is when a child has to come to you as an adult and ask you, "Daddy, are you okay? Mommy, are you
Right.
okay?" They're
Right.
they're empathetics, they're empaths, so they can feel what we're feeling. And if we're
Right.
not careful on understanding ours, like Dwayne was saying, understanding our emotions and then speaking up about it, regulating it, getting the appropriate help, and we're going to cause more damage in them. So we have to have those conversations and check in with them to make sure that even though they may not be getting it from the inside, the house, we don't know what other sources are being communicated, sometimes at the school, sometimes with friends, sometimes with other family members. So we have to
Right.
be able to check in on their mental and emotional states at all times, as often as we need to make sure that they are okay. But making sure we regulate and understand ourselves first, even before we have those conversations.
Right.
that's good, man.
Yeah.
If I had $5 for every time I heard an underage child trying to have a grown-up conversation, man,
Right.
parents, please stop
Right.
talking to your children like they're grown.
Right.
Stop putting all this heavyweight stuff
On.
on these babies. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to
Right.
process it. And you're creating monsters. That's real.
Mm.
Matt, if you don't say anything else today, bro, that right there, age appropriate conversations with your
Right.
children, that is, if I can age myself, the bomb. Listen, and the other piece, like, I want to go back to something that you said a minute ago, AD, because there's a process that I try to apply, and I apply this in a lot of areas of my life. I even apply it in business. The 4 stages of effective strategy. The discovery stage, identifying the problem, understand. Because I say, when I talk to clients, when I talk to people, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Right. So when I come into a meeting, I'm coming into the meeting perceived as the expert,
Right.
right? And I have to pull that title away. I'm not an expert. I'm still in the process myself.
Right.
But there's a discovery phase where you identify all the things that need to be dealt with,
Right.
right? Then there is a development phase where you begin to construct a strategy. You start building procedures and platforms and all of these things to deal with what you've discovered. Then there's a testing phase where you begin to apply what you have been developing,
Right.
right? And then there's life cycle management, right? How do I go back and repeat this process and keep it healthy, keep it flowing, so that at certain times I can gauge where I am from when I started discovering
Right.
to developing to applying. The last incident, how did we execute, right? What can we improve on, right? So now you have it becomes a cycle of life. You're constantly in discovery mode. You're constantly testing things or developing things, and then you're just improving on all the things that you've been putting in place. And life becomes a lot more healthy when you have good, effective life cycle management, right? And so if you start that at a very young age with your children, to Matt's point, have a conversation with a childlike spirit. When I was a child, I thought as a child. Remember, your children are thinking like children. They're not thinking like they're 40. Right? They don't understand the pains that you're going through today, right? So you have to talk to them from a child. Like, my Tonka truck doesn't work right.
Right.
You understand? So when your heart isn't working right, when they're seeing you in pain, apply it to the Tonka truck. Some of y'all don't even know what Tonka is. Forget it. When you're
a heavy one.
They don't make those no more, Pastor. They don't make them no more.
The one that you get hurt.
Right.
No, they made them out of real steel.
I mean, that's the
Right,
truth.
right.
But when we're dealing with our children, we have to go back to the Tonka mindset. We got to go back. That's the mindset we have to have when we're dealing with our children, and because we make life too complex for our children, and that's reality. And they don't know what to do with that stuff.
Oh, Cole also mentioned.
Why do we forget so easy? Let me ask that question. Why is it so easy for us to forget? Like, literally everything that my kids do.
Right.
I'm pretty sure at some point in time, if I haven't done worse, I've at least done. But I've forgotten that when I look at them. Like, my boy, he's the only one. He's got a habit of when he takes things, he leaves the evidence behind in places where he think he can get away with it. Under the bed, behind the dressers, behind the couches. And it's like, I find it. I was like, I know it's you. That, like, it's you.
Right.
I was like, didn't you get caught in the same place last time? And he's looking at me like, but I forget that I had a moment when I was that age.
Right.
That, I mean, I didn't get caught, but I was doing the same thing. And it's like, why is it so hard for us not to relate our shortcomings in the past with the people we deal with, the people we love, our children, and the rest of society? Why is it that we suppress that?
Because of the evolution of narcissism. That's why. It's about us. It's about how I feel right now. We've changed. We've evolved as people. Narcissism today compared to narcissism 65 years ago. We were the village people 65 years ago. You understand? Now everybody want their own microphone.
Right.
All right. I got you. Got you on that part. Yeah. I feel on that.
If you don't know the village people, we were the Four Tops back then. I mean, we were, it's amazing. It's amazing that
just say the Isley Brothers, or Earth, Wind, and Fire. They still know who that is.
Well, but think about it. Here's the difference. The difference is they all had microphones.
Right. That's true.
But they sang in unity.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Now today, everybody wants to be the lead.
Right.
And it's all about me. It's about my shine. That's why, social media has damaged society.
So did you just say social media is like Eddie Kane? You want my flash? You want my spot flash?
I just feel like as a people, we have evolved into something that is much more. We're much more self-involved, self-engaged than we are community. And I believe that, I'm no good to anybody else if I'm not whole.
Right.
But I don't want to be whole at the expense of my family. That's the issue. And I want to dispel another myth that because we're men having this conversation, which I love.
Right.
I want to dispel the myth that women control the temperament of the household.
Right.
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 Right. Because the pulse of the household is on the head, not the helpmeet.
Right.
Right.
And so for men and for women, the challenge has been we've had too many absent fathers. And that's why the temperament of the household has been under the thumb of a mother, a female. But that's not how it's designed.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to really, and I heard something this morning. I don't want to put too much out there. I give credit to Dr. Rollins and a podcast I heard this morning. And I think we know it, but we don't acknowledge it enough. What happened to George Floyd has been happening to Black men, happening to fathers for generations. And a lot of why we are struggling with what we're struggling with is because of cases like Chauvin and George Floyd.
Right.
Right.
And Matt, you alluded to this earlier. You didn't say these words, but you implied this, that if it happens to the father, and this is what I heard this morning on a podcast that Dr. Rollins was on, it's coming. I can't, when I need to leave that alone. I'll let her do that. It said what happens to the father happens to the family.
Right.
Right.
Matt, you were talking about that a minute ago, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother conversation I could definitely get into.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I have to step away really quick. And so I wanted to say a couple things before I have to go. One of the first things is that, man, pleasure talking to you guys. I'm learning and I'm always willing to share. I think the last thing I'll say is that we need to do more of this, man. You know, like I need to come back on, Anthony. So you know,
definitely,
you know, get me back on. And man, the last point was I do have a children's book that I'm writing about stress management in kids. It should be out this summer because you know, throughout the pandemic, throughout 2020, you know, adults, we've seen how it caused dysfunction in us. We really got to look to our small children to see how it's been impacting them as well. You know, so I'll share that information with Anthony. It should be out, like I said, this summer, and so please look forward to that. Thank you guys for having me, and I
appreciate. Thank you for being on. Bless you, bro.
Get on that pre-order list. Let's bless his brother. We
indeed.
need these gems the same way as we see Pastor as a gem and what he brings. This is another gem.
Where are you?
Family.
I'm based out of South Florida right now.
South Florida.
Transitioning to where I think where Ant is. You know, so my transition time.
You coming to Georgia?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Wait. Did you say yes? You're coming to Georgia?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So
right now, I'm sorry. Right now, my phone was ringing. Right now, I'm in South Florida. I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
All right. So you coming to Georgia?
Yeah, 6 months to a year, man. That's the plan.
All right. Praise God. Look
plan.
At that.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll talk more about it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm really excited now. All right, brother.
All right.
Take care.
Nice.
Okay. That's good.
Bring the resources, Jesus.
Yes. Yes, Lord.
Yes,
let's see. Let me read some of these comments and then we can transition and get on out of here. Let's see. Mike said, we must remember he who controls the image controls the mind of the man. The system is designed to control the image. What happens to you or happened to you does not define who you are. Understanding who you are and whose you are will give you strength. Seeing yourself as victory leads to perseverance. Yes, indeed. Dr. Rollins says solution focused. Situation will push you to believe either you will profit, I guess, in your prophesy your future or leave in your situation. We must speak, plan, and move to the future we desire, not the future shown. Indeed. Let's see. The OJ saying it best, Dwayne. Your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. Listen, Cole in the reference.
There were some savages.
Appreciate the tools to deal with the mental heart. Yeah, the hard mental issue. Yes, indeed. I'm excited he was here. Yes, I love the age-appropriate dissemination of information. I totally agree that children will see and feel what we're going through when it comes to racism. Yes, indeed.
Anything.
Let's see. He said the Tonka truck. Let's talk about something I've seen in a hot minute. He said we forget because we would like to control and I guess control the image. Cole said, don't confuse the village people with the Four Tops. Yeah, two totally different groups. podcast episodes coming. Yes, indeed. Dr. Rollins in the
Yes.
building. We definitely give you a shout out.
Fire.
Yeah, awesome. Listen,
and I don't find that hard, but that's a very easy.
Listen,
that's a very easy statement to believe.
I'm gonna just say this, and then Dr. Rollins has so much in her, and it's just got to push her to talk. It just got to get her out there.
Man.
Like I constantly told her, like, listen, we need more, hear your voice more, because there's so much inside. She's such a, she's analyzing, thinking. I'm like, just say it, just say it. We need to hear it. Appreciate it, Mama Corey. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Thank you for hanging with us. This is a great episode. These are the directions that I want to go with these conversations, because there's so much we're dealing with, and mental health is important. Spiritual health is important. Staying grounded, knowing what we're thinking and feeling. And like I said, it affects our behaviors. So I want to have a lot more conversations about this, about, financing, because all of this matters. All of this matters. You received that? Awesome. Amen. Hey, V. No problem. And listen, make sure you join our text community so you can stay up to date with all of our episodes and things that we're doing. If I could find that banner real quick. Boom. Join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Enjoy it. Sometimes I just need to sit back, right, and listen. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's hard. So I appreciate you guys. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, Thursday. I'm trying to brew something up for you guys. So I'm not going to talk about it yet. We'll just see what happens. I hit my guys last minute, like, this is what we're doing. Like, okay. So
I'm like, what?
So I was talking about what he just like, I go in this one and get this out for today.
Right.
This last minute, I got something ready.
I got something for you. So we appreciate you guys. Make sure you stay safe. Keep the fight going. We've had somewhat of a victory, but we've already seen another incident happen. And we talked about the roller coaster. Just stay grounded, and just do your part within your community and your family. Don't stress about it. Like I said, you have your safe space, and you only can control what you can control. The rest is in God's hands. So continue to pray, and just seek peace and seek direction. That's the gist of it. All right. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. How many get that reference?
Y'all aging.
Right?
Like, I don't think y'all said anything that was created after 1985.
Right.
Everything y'all said today was old.
Yeah, because same bad time, same bad channel. That's 70s.
Yeah, that is. I saw I was watching reruns though.
Yeah.
Those are the reruns. All right, guys. See you in the AM.
I didn't want to catch that. Good morning. Welcome to another edition. Good morning.